a claim by Ms. Holding. Ms. Holding, I'm assuming you are the landlord or the owner of the property or both?
Correct. Both.
Okay, all right. And the Northcotts were tenants of yours?
Correct.
And you indicate that they owe rent for the months of January, March, April, in the amount of $7,105. And associated with that unpaid rent, you're asserting that they owe late fees of $20 a day for 143 days, totaling $2,860. And that comes out slightly under $10,000. That's your claim?
That is correct.
Okay. So I'll go to the Northcotts. You want to explain to me your side of the story, please?
Yes, sir. We never stayed in the property. We turned the keys back in.
We didn't spend a single night. We have, however, paid Eva Holding $5,245 for a month's rent, a security deposit, a cleaning fee, and a pet fee.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit then. Did you sign a lease agreement? Was this verbal? What's the story?
We signed a lease agreement. It had lots of blank spots in it.
It had lots of places to be initialed, and none of them were.
Okay. The lease agreement was signed, and when did the lease take effect? What was the lease date on it?
Probably January.
January 31st, although we had said we were moving out of a house that was damaged and we wouldn't be moving in right away. The money was paid January 27th and January 28th, and we returned the keys as soon as we found another place to live.
Okay, so the lease agreement was to commence the 31st of January of what year?
2026.
Okay. And on January 27th, preceding the initial date of the lease, you paid the first month's rent and the various down payments, and you paid $5,245. And the lease was for what term? How long?
I believe it was 3 months, sir.
Okay. And you received the keys on what date?
I don't know, sir.
I believe it was the very first week of February, and we turned the keys back in February 10th and took a photo of them on her table.
Your Honor, the keys were being picked up by Mrs. Northcott prior to the 31st.
Okay, yeah, I'll rather than have you each weigh in, I'll go back and forth as I need the questions answered. So, Ms. Northcott, you say you believe you received the keys first week of February. I'm going to hear from Ms. Holding in a minute on that issue. But you turned the keys in on the 10th of February, and you both have indicated you never did, in fact, move into the
No,
premises.
we did not spend a single night there.
Okay. And you decided not to engage in the lease because why?
It's kind of dated, the property.
It looks like a double wide, and we didn't see a spot to really set up an office, and we work from home. So we found another house, and as soon as we did, notified Eva that we found a home to purchase.
And I don't have a copy. I don't think a copy of the lease was filed. Let me just verify that. I looked earlier. I didn't see one. But
Tab 2 on pages 12 through 24.
All right, thank you. Okay, I have it. Let me review it. All right, so back to the Northcotts. You signed a lease that would run through the end of April. I understand you were waiting to move into more permanent housing at that point. Prior to moving into Ms. Holdings' property, you found a better property in your mind. You turned in the keys. Was there any other reason for you departing and not using the home on Yearly Drive?
It was not pleasant.
Okay. Was it in any different condition at the time you signed the lease than when you went to move in? Or didn't?
Other than the chair with the cut in it, no.
Okay. All right. So what happened is you signed an agreement saying, yes, we'll lease this property. And then you backed out of the agreement. Do you have an argument as to why you shouldn't be held on that?
No, sir, I don't.
We have offered an additional $2,000 in mediation just now.
Okay. All right. So it appears in reading the contract that your obligation would be for the months of February, March, and April. You signed an agreement saying, yes, we'll lease this property. You made a personal choice not to do that by finding somebody someplace else, but you were still bound by this contract. So it looks like there's 3 months of rent that would be owed under this contract. And then I'll review the late payment section of the lease. And it, as Ms. Holding had indicated in her statement, the late payment section does say that any rent received 10 days after its due date incurs a cost of $20 a day. And she's estimated that at 143 days, since it sounds like it has not been paid with the exception of the initial payment. So Ms. Holding, you did receive the $5,245 that Ms. Northcutt said she provided you.
I certainly did, yes.
Okay. So that would be, of the 3 months, that would be 1 month plus fees. Is that correct?
It would be 1 month, and the 10,000 that I have listed already identifies that the 5,000 has been paid. The first month rent is not listed on that because that's for February. He
Okay,
owes me
so
for January 3rd. Sorry,
rent was $3,495 a month.
correct.
Okay, so that would be $6,990 in unpaid rent.
Plus the 115 for January 31st, which he never paid.
Right. Yeah, I saw that. All right, and is there an argument, folks, as to why you wouldn't owe the $7,105 rent?
The only argument is that when we saw the place in real life, we didn't like it and didn't want to stay in it. And so we went another direction. That's all we have, sir.
Okay. All right.
Your Honor, may I make a comment?
No, Ms. Holding.
Okay,
you
that's
don't
fine.
need to. Yeah, as I had indicated in my opening remarks today, the way I have to decide the case is by applying the law to the facts. And the law doesn't leave a lot of room for empathy or for what we call equity. It doesn't, I can't decide a case based on my sense of what's proper or not proper. I have to look at what the law says. And in this case, you have a written contract, and that's going to be the law in the case. The contract sets what I have to do. And in that contract, the Northcotts agreed to pay rent to Ms. Holding for her property through the end of April. It was essentially 3 months plus 1 day. And they paid 1 month's rent with associated fees and did not pay 2 months and 1 day's rent plus the late fees associated with not paying that rent. So legally, Ms. Holding is entitled to those damages just pursuant to the contract. So I will find judgment for Ms. Holding. And I'll tell you the amount in just a moment. And that judgment amount would be $9,965. The claim was for $10,000, so it obviously comes out $35 less than that. But she'll also be entitled to her service and filing fee. And Ms. Holding, did Mr. Stewart charge you for serving
Yes.
the North Cuts?
$220.
Thank you. All right, folks, I will find judgment, as I said, in favor of Ms. Holding. This is based solely on the contract that was signed and the fact that the Northcuts did not comply with the terms of that contract. So the principal amount, as I said, was $9,965, adding on the $50 filing fee and the $220 service fee. The total judgment is in the amount of $10,235. And okay, the judgment is available to both parties on the website in just Thurston County District Court in the civil office. All right, folks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yana.
Thank you,
All
sir.
righty. Bye-bye.
Okay.